10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Fantasy Football Press Box with your hosts, Scott Fitzgerald and Sean Clemens.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Press Box. Woo, woo, woo. It's brought to you by Sudden Death Fantasy Sports. My name is Sean, here with my co-host, Scott. How you doing, my friend? Always glad to have you on the show with me. You are my anchor. How was your life today, buddy?
Beautiful day in sunny Florida, 85 and sunny. It's every day here is a Sunday. So, So just excited, man. Great weekend of March Madness basketball. Not as my brackets aren't doing as well as last year, but my Michigan Wolverines are advanced to the Sweet 16. So pretty excited about that. And some big NFL news today too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's go right into it. We're going to talk about that, go into some trade talks today. We're going to have a little bit of information on our how our brackets have done since we did our little bracket with the audience the other day. And, spoiler alert, not great. But, other than that, we got a little bit of a Sweet 16 giveaway going here for you guys. We got a bracket challenge coming up for the Sweet 16 that we're going to talk about here at the end of the show. Our boy Cyborg is going to be joining us later for that. And to start out, though, we're going to go through some NFL news, buddy. So give me the skinny, baby. We heard about JSN signing his big deal, record contract. You think he deserves to be paid the way he's being paid right now? I mean, obviously he deserves to get paid good, but you think he deserves to get paid this good?
I mean, he is back-to-back 100 catch seasons, and he coming off a Super Bowl. So I mean, it was the right time to get a new contract. And does he deserve to be the highest paid in the league? I mean, that's people can argue that. But you know what? He was the next domino to fall, and it's a massive contract, but he's a young receiver. He runs great routes. I mean, just a smooth technician in the route running category, and he scores touchdowns. And just as much as I hate to say it, he's another great product to come out of the Ohio down there. Down in Ohio in that wide receiver factory down there.
What is that? What's in Ohio though? Where exactly in Ohio do they come from?
Somewhere.
Is there a specific school or something associated with that?
Southern Ohio somewhere.
There's no school name or anything associated with that specifically. It's just somewhere in Ohio.
Yeah, just somewhere in Ohio. I'm sure people can figure it out. But welcome in, Shadows, Liliths. You guys are in the house.
Oh man, just so you guys know, Scott's talking about Ohio State. He just hates saying it because he's a Michigan fan. But yes, you're right. Ohio State has produced some of the most amazing receivers out of the last, I'd say, decade or so. I don't understand how it's been happening like that, but it has been. And good for them.
Brian Hartline was the wide receivers coach there. So
yeah, I used to love him when he played too, man. He was just one of those guys that you always like. Yeah, he was like a Wayne Corbett type of guy, just one of those dudes that just went out there and worked hard every day, lunch pail type,
Yeah.
So look at this here. We got another, our Schefter of the pod, Shadows, coming out with another breaking news, strongly favored to draft pass rusher Arvell Reese with the number 2 pick. And, I think that's been pretty much the mocked man to them for the most part up to this point. So it doesn't surprise me to hear that he's trending in that direction. I think the Jets need so many pieces, man. It's BPA for them pretty much across the board, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, pass rushers are really hard to get if you can get a good one, like a Myles Garrett. I mean, that's if you think that's, in your cards, they're really hard to come by, and they can make such a difference on a team. I mean, you've disrupted the quarterback. Yes, Todd Barber, Ohio State. Ohio does suck.
That's the only time you get Scott to say Ohio State.
Welcome in, TB76. Nice to have you in. That's Todd Barber.
Yeah, that's right. But I don't agree with you guys' Ohio State take, by the way. But that's just me. I don't have any hatred for them. I don't have any reason to have a hatred for them. Not like you guys, I guess. But the Jets, I do agree, man. That's pretty much the way they should be going. As far as JSN's contract is concerned, though, I know we didn't actually say it. So it's 4 years, 168 mil. So it is definitely a high-paying contract. If you had to choose right now, Scotty, would JSN be your wide receiver of choice to start a franchise with, right? You can't pick a quarterback. You have to pick a receiver to start your new team. Is JSN the guy you're grabbing right now? I mean, I think I'm leaning towards Jamar Chase still, but is JSN your guy?
I still think I'm going Jamar Chase. I mean, and I love JSN, but I like receivers that are a little bit bigger, more of a red
A little
zone.
more freakish, right?
Yeah, a little more freakish of an athlete.
Yeah,
and Jamar Chase is just a freak. So,
yeah. I mean, I might lean Neighbors even more so than JSN right now because he's got that same kind of freakish, ability to him. But, he's still too young to go that far. But there's no way I'm taking him over Jamar right now. I'm just not doing it.
Jamar Chase is just a different animal. And like I said, it all depends who you like. I mean, I like the bigger receivers. So, yeah, I tend to gravitate towards them.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. Justin Jefferson would even still be in the mix for me in that conversation. So, he's got that kind of ability, even though his quarterback hasn't given him that opportunity to prove it lately. But so yeah, man, what else we got to talk about here in the NFL? We got Marquise Brown signing with the Eagles. I know we haven't even gone over that yet. Do you feel like that's something that moves the needle for you at all? I mean, it kind of puts him on my after round 20 best ball radar,
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're still waiting on the domino of AJ Brown, to kind of fall. So I guess that might be by signing Marquise Brown. I guess that's kind of letting the cat out of the bag that AJ Brown's pretty much a goner at that point.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking that signing tells you that at minimum, that tells you the AJ Brown trade will probably happen here at some point in the near future. It looks like we got another breaking news coming up here. Some rumors, actually. There are multiple teams reportedly view Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson as the top quarterback in this class. So, I mean, these are the same types of things we were hearing about Jackson Dart coming out when we were getting closer and closer to the draft. And then look what happened. He ended up being drafted not one overall, but he ended up going top 10 to the Giants with a trade up, if I'm not mistaken, to go get him. So, that situation, you feel like that might happen again with Ty Simpson because there's quarterback needy teams and there really isn't anybody else that's kind of rising to the top at this point.
Well, the only knock I've read up, because I've been doing a lot of reading up on Ty Simpson, is the only knock on him has been quality starts at the position. I think he's only started like 13 games or 14 games or something like that. So sometimes that'll people want to see a little bit more of a kind of a playbook of starting a lot more games, especially in big games. But other than that, they say he's very accurate, very, very high IQ, which GMs really like, can process stuff, which if he had to go through multiple playbooks, different coaching changes, he could adapt better. So
usually you do as a top quarterback too.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I've watched some film. I mean, he looks good, played at a good school. So would that scare me? Maybe a tad, but like I said, it's not like he doesn't have a strong IQ for the NFL in the game. So I don't think that would scare me too much. It would be if maybe he didn't have a strong IQ or couldn't pick up things, process things very fast.
Yeah. So Shadows brings up something interesting, right? And the reason I say this is interesting is because of what he just mentioned earlier with the whole idea of the Jets taking Arvell Reese. Say the Raiders pass on Mendoza and they take Simpson. Say they're one of those teams that views him as the top quarterback in this class, and they do it. They go ahead and take their guy, Simpson, at 1. Do the Jets then pivot to Mendoza at 2, thinking there's no way he would have been there? So they're not even considering him, and they're looking at Arvell Reese as their best option. Do you think that they pivot and go Mendoza at that point if Mendoza's still on the board?
I think if they didn't take Mendoza, the whole fan base would just riot.
I agree. And look at it's Lilitz. Lilitz is a Raider fan who is notorious for hating all the Bills, and so the fact that be willing to go over to the Bills Mafia side of the fence, if that were to happen, that tells you a lot about how upset Lilitz would be. So that's a pretty epic comment there. Yeah, we're gonna have to make sure we put that one in the receipts bin for later. But that's pretty interesting development right there. If Ty Simpson becomes the guy at 1 overall, what happens at number 2? That changes, I think, the entire outcome of the top 10.
Yeah. No, the
Jets we could end up having a weird trade up then or something too, because somebody who's in love with Mendoza feels like he's available at 2 a lot easier than he was at 1. You never know, right? Maybe the Jets didn't do enough homework on him, thinking he wouldn't be there, that they're comfortable with him at that point. Maybe you have the whole draft day scenario where everybody's freaking out because, like, why the heck would the Raiders pass up on him? Maybe there's something they know we don't. Who knows, right? Of course, that's a movie, not real life.
Unless something like that crazy happened, I think the Jets, kind of showed their hand. They brought in Geno Smith. He's going to be a stopgap for this year. They draft a pass rusher, and then next year there'll be some better quarterbacks coming out, and the Jets are going to be awful again. So they'll be in the quarterback market next year.
Yeah, there's some sort of a term they're going to come up with for Arch Manning and sucking to get him. And we know the Dolphins are already well ahead of the Jets as far as that's concerned. They're pretty much on the path to number 1, hardcore, not letting it be, not hiding it from nobody, letting it be known to the whole world, baby, that they want that first overall pick next year.
Yeah, for sure.
Fire sale, baby.
So what about Travis Swift? We got some news on Travis Swift.
Yep. Yeah, he signed himself a 3-year deal, which, he's 36 right now, maybe 37, somewhere in that range at least. And for him to get a 3-year contract is a little surprising to me. I'm wondering if, though, and we talked about this, I'm wondering if it's a contract that's 3 years meant to be more like 1 year and spread out the cap hit kind of a deal, which would sound more plausible to me. But it's a $57 million contract. So, like, that to me is that's quite a bit of money to throw at somebody for a 2-year write-off deal kind of thing. I feel like it's pretty much like, as long as you want to play, you can play with us, and we're going to give you, $10 million a year, $12 million a year to do it.
Yeah, well, that's like, you're looking at like almost $15 million a year, and if it's probably pretty front loaded. I can't see him playing another 3 years. Unless he goes in the mold of Jason Witten, in his later years where he could barely move anymore. He just did like 5-yard button hooks and caught the ball. So that could be, that could be somewhere, because Kelsey is starting to look a little more lumbering and a little more like, obviously he's an older tight end. He's had a lot of miles on his legs. So could he do 5-yard button hooks and get the ball? Of course, and I agree with you 100%. I think the Chiefs are basically like, look, as long as you want to play with us, we'll give you a good paycheck, which is actually a really good paycheck. And,
he's
just
probably getting residuals on ticket sales now that Swift is still around too. So
yeah,
he's got himself a nice payday coming.
And he's a first down catching machine. Mahomes looks for him at the first down marker, and so I just think it's a little bit pricey for someone like that. But the Chiefs, he's a future Hall of Famer, future Ring of Honor for the Chiefs, so they're going to give him some extra money to stick around.
Yeah. It is what it is, right? He's not going anywhere. They definitely didn't want him playing in a different uniform. So they did what they had to do. But I'm happy, because anytime the Chiefs spend money that I think is not so, hey, go Chiefs. He's got another little update for us, that speaking of the Chiefs, that they're strongly interested in Cam Jordan, which would fit their mold too. That bringing in that older guy who's chasing a ring, it makes sense. So I wouldn't hate that move at all, except for the fact that I would prefer Buffalo do it rather than the Chiefs. I think Cam Jordan's got some juice in the tank, and he's that Calais Campbell type of player who comes in there and just like bolsters everybody else because of the way he is as a leader. So I wouldn't have any issues at all with Cam Jordan joining a team that's chasing a ring. It makes sense. He deserves it too.
Yeah.
So.
No, for sure.
Another little quick thing is Najee Harris is officially cleared to play. I do think he'll sign with somebody, and I do think he'll end up being at least a number 2 back in somebody's offense in this year. Again, Chiefs are another team. Wouldn't surprise me if he signs with them and becomes the number 2 behind Walker or something like that. And he's another player who I could see going after a ring and trying to get that last couple years out of his career, even though he's still like young in his NFL career. He's not a young player at all. So he's only got a couple more years left to do that. And I don't see why he wouldn't try for it. Detroit, that's another team that I could see bringing him in. Oh, they brought in Pacheco, but he's definitely a better player than Pacheco, and he would fit that, smash and dash kind of setup that they want to do over there with Jahmyr Gibbs. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if he doesn't do something like that. But yeah, man. So beyond that, though, let's get into something that we've been dying, and I'm not lying, guys. We've been dying to get this segment back on the air for you guys because everybody loves it. It's always a lot of fun. Whether you win or lose in the trade, you always want to know what everybody thinks of it. This is the one and only Trade Talks, baby. Oh man, I know when we made that, I did not realize how eerie and Halloween it sounds. Now it sounds like it might scare some children tonight. So I'm sorry if your kids were listening to that. But
No, I was gonna say what's up, Jamie, in chat there. Gotta give shout out to our people in chat.
Yeah. What's up, Jamie? Jamie's going to be working with us here on this upcoming live draft episode that we're going to be talking about. We'll pitch that here to you guys at the end of the show, but we got a live draft coming up, another live draft episode of our best ball drafts. So trade talks, though. What we do here is we break down some trades. We've had a couple of dynasty leagues going on for the last, about a week now, doing some drafting. And we're going to go through and see what these trades look like, get our breakdown on them, and go from there. What's up, Dirty Bird Nation? How you doing, man? One of our new players.
Welcome on in.
So let's see what we got on these trades, huh? First and foremost, this one here comes out of our Patriots League, which is this one. I only have the one trade so far from this one because we pulled these trades a couple of days ago, and there's been maybe 2 trades since this one in there. Nothing too major though, so there really hasn't been a whole lot of movement in that one compared to our other Dino that's drafting. But this was an earlier trade that went down that did involve a couple of first-round picks, and it's an interesting little move. A guy went from 3.8 to 4.3 and ended up getting the 103 from the 105 to do it. So basically, Batmax receives the 308 and the 105 pick, and he sent the 403 startup and the 103 pick to do it. So what do you think about that move, Scott? You're talking about jumping up 7 picks, it looks like, to jump up there and giving up like a 2-pick drop in the first round rookie pick. To me, I think it's a pretty solid value swap. I really don't see
what was the player. Do you know what the player was that he moved up to get?
I will tell you that in a second. Let me go and find out real quick because I do have that draft available to look at. So let me pull that up real quick. But just value to value before you think about the player. What do you think about the value to value right now?
I think it's fine. I mean, I'm not. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think the value's fine.
You think they did a pretty decent job with it? I mean, Batmax ended up getting at 3.8. He got Nico Collins.
Nico Collins at 308?
Yes. And he went up at 308 to get Nico, and then he ended up at 4.3 snagging Chris Olave. So it's basically Nico Collins in the 105 for Chris Olave in the 103.
I mean, I might like Nico just a tad better, but I think it's pretty even, to be honest with you.
It really is, right?
If Olave stays healthy and he's past the concussions, but yet Nico hasn't been that healthy either. He's had hamstring issues and stuff. So I want to say New Orleans is more of an upcoming offense. I mean, Shook had a very good year last year. So, and Nico's just kind of like treading water. He hasn't really had that, like, he's had good years, but he hasn't had that like big breakout year. So I just think it's a 50-50 right down the middle, like pretty even trade.
I think so too. I'd probably lean a little bit towards the Olave side if you feel like you're getting like a big difference between 103 and 105. Like if you have 4 people in your 2026 tier 1 rookie draft class and you want to make sure you get a tier 1 guy, then that 2-tick jump is totally worth it.
Yeah.
You
What's
know,
up,
and
Sun
then
Devils?
same thing on the other way around. If you have five guys in your first tier, then dropping back 2 picks to jump up to Nico is totally worth it. So I feel like you said, I mean, I think it could be exactly how you feel about the rookie picks is exactly how you're going to decide whether you like or not like this trade.
Yeah.
See, and then he's saying the thought for me was to get whichever wide receiver one I want at 103, depending on how the first 2 picks go. Exactly. So you're going to you figure Jeremiah Love is 1-1, pretty much 99.9% of leagues. Jeremiah Love 1-1, at least, 1-2. And if he's not, then, you're in a really awesome dyno. Like you get some guys that really don't know what's going on. But that's basically 1-1, right? Or 1-2. So Fernando Mendoza, if he goes 101, I think he probably falls in the other 1-2 spot or 1-1, depending on roster need. That's my personal thought, right? So if that happens, you get the wide receiver one in the draft, whoever you think it is. And obviously, once you get to go into the draft, you're going to find out that Carnell Tate maybe goes early or Lemon goes early and like, okay, this fool's getting a lot of targets. He's really a part of this offense. So he's going to be my new 101, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, no, like I said, I think it's a real good trade for both guys. I mean,
yeah. And see, he says he's taking Love at 101, which I totally understand that. I mean, you'd be dumb not to, honestly.
Yeah,
it's definitely the way to go. So I do agree. I think they both did a really good job with this trade. And based on the way that things have gone with these guys, I do think that will be a continuing thing for them. So good job, guys, for sure. That's not going to be how everybody is. I'll tell you that right now. There's a couple of them that I was a little surprised by. But so moving on, this one took place in the Giants League, and this was early on in this draft. And we're looking at, we pulled these a little later, so we got some of the players already known on who they are. I'll be able to pull the information on who the other ones are for us just as we move along here. But it looks like this one we did get all these picks through before we pulled this screenshot. So we got the 7-12 and the 101, this involves our buddy right here that's getting the 101. That's where he got his opportunity to snag Jeremiah Love. And in order to get up to the 101, he gave up the 210, the 610, and the 203, got back the 712 and the 101. So that turned out to be Daniel Jones at the 712, which I thought was a great pick there. Daniel Jones at 712 and the 101 for Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams, and the 203. So, Scotty, give me your first breakdown on this one. Start out with you.
I mean, I know it's the 101, but I'm always a guy that likes the bird in the hand and get, guaranteed like production. So I kind of like, and you said you got Daniel Jones at 712. That was his pick at.
Mm-hmm. And then he's Daniel Jones at 712. And in order, the picks at 210, 610 were 2 running backs, surprisingly, Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to go with, I like the Jonathan Taylor I like the Jonathan Taylor side.
Interesting. So you like the Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams, and the 203 over Daniel Jones in the 101.
Yeah.
So I can understand why you feel that way, and I'm inclined to agree with you to an extent. And for me, though, it's really difficult, specifically in the 2026 season. And the reason I say that is because I do think there is a massive drop this year, more so than most, in the depth on this draft. I think that there's a couple of blue chippers and there's a couple of guys that I think are good sleeper type dudes, but that's really it. I don't think there's a whole lot of like extreme talent coming out this year. So for that, the 203 is lower value than I would normally call it, right? So that to me kind of pushes that down just a little bit, because you're getting that elite blue chip talent in this draft that not many people are going to get with the 101. And then to get a quarterback that signed a 2-year deal that is young enough to get a longer contract if he does well, granted, we've seen this story before, right? The story's already been written once to the Giants where they gave Daniel Jones a 2-year contract and look what happened. So I'm not going to say that happens again, but at least we got, a year or two with this guy at the helm before you figure out what's going to happen there. So quarterback wise, he might be trade bait. He might be somebody that could recoup some of this perceived value. So I wouldn't have a problem with that move at all if you're the 101 and you really want that running back. I mean, I would say value for value. Yes, I do agree that Thunder Fist probably won if you just go straight value. But I do think that there's potential as the season goes on that flips.
Yeah, and as the draft, as it gets near the rookie draft, that 101 is going to get more expensive. It's going to be more valuable. So Yeah, if B10 decides they don't want that pick and they can trade it and try to get a blue chip player plus, for that 101. I mean, somebody, you can find people really love those early rookie draft spots. And to me, I don't consider them that valuable unless it's like a slam dunk blue chip like quarterback. I mean, I'm a quarterback guy, especially in super flex. I mean, you're going
That's
to
me
get
rolling my eyes. I don't know if
you're
you
going to
saw
get
that.
10, 12 years out of that if he pans out. Where running back, even if the running back pans out, you may only get 4 solid seasons out of him.
You're such a liar, though. I mean, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, they would definitely be worthwhile at taking in the top 3 picks easily.
I'm not
I would
saying they
take
wouldn't
them.
be worth it. I'm just saying that for longevity wise, you're gonna have to kind of be in win now mode. If you're rebuilding, that's a bad move. I don't care what anybody says. I'll take that to the grave. If you're in a rebuild and you go after a running back when you have a blue chip quarterback on, waiting for you, you pass on the running back. And if you don't want to take the blue chip quarterback coming out, then you trade that pick for an established quarterback in the NFL. That's obviously a good quarterback. And plus, I'm not going to do it in a rebuild. I'm not taking the running back in a rebuild.
I mean, it depends on where you're at in your rebuild, I guess. I don't mind it at all if you got that surefire 101 sitting there staring you in the face. The reason I say that is because you're getting 5 to 6 solid years and potential superstar status at a position that's very hard to maintain a superstar status for 5 to 6 years. So it kind of locks down a position for you that you'll have a harder time locking down with that level of talent than something like a wide receiver that you can. I mean, almost every year it feels like they're coming out, which is weird with the exception of this year, which is kind of crazy. But like every year it feels like there's multiple blue chip wide receivers that come out that can be extremely successful for you in your fantasy team. So I would take that running back if he's that good of a guy sitting there at the 101, like a Bijan, like, Jahmyr, Janty, I felt like was in that level at the time. It's definitely something I would do.
There you go. You said it. You proved my point right there. Janty at the time. So Janty comes in. He was pretty much, he was in some super flexes. He was 101. So he comes in for year 1 and you already lost the year on him. He didn't really have a great year. It was okay. Now he's going into year 2. Is he going to have, he's got to have a good year this year. Now, if he has another subpar year or just an average year, now you've lost 2 years on that running back.
Dude, I don't think that is a good argument at all. Bijan didn't have much worse of a rookie season. I mean, Bijan had a couple of so-so starts in his years, like good, but not great, right? I think Janty had a much worse team than Bijan had to come out to. And he did, it's just a little worse.
Dude, so the Falcons are terrible. You tell me the Falcons were a better situation than
they were a better situation than what Janty walks into. God. Janty walked into, Pete Carroll and Geno Smith. I mean, come on. That's like, you're talking about a couple of geriatric has-beens right there that you got to run behind. Like, that's tough, man. Like, I see you, Cyborg. We'll bring you in here after trade talks, buddy. Yeah, man, I don't know. I just, I don't know, man. I think that the rookie 101 in the 712 is not a bad deal for this move. Although I am not a fan of giving away an extra startup pick. I've never been like that. I like to if I'm giving away an extra pick at all, it's usually a rookie pick. I don't like to give away more startup picks than I receive back. It's like a thing for me, unless it's like late in the draft, like 15th round or later that I'm losing. Otherwise, I don't really like to give away a pick. But I don't think it's that far off. I don't. I think Scotty's got a little bit more of a opinion about the running backs than I do. I don't think it's that far off at all. Next one up the board, baby. You notice who's in a lot of these trades here, right? No wonder you joined us today because you knew his name was going to be called quite a bit. Lil KB10 and myself actually made the deal here, which of course I'm not going to think my trade is horrible, right? So I'll let Scott break down my side of it. But the trade actually was my 308, my 508, and my 2027 first for his 103 and his 903. So, Scotty, what do you think of the 2027 first instead of 2026? We both talked about how that's a much deeper class, and that pick right there could potentially turn into a lot more value than any pick I had this year, which would have been the 105 if I went with the 2026 pick. So that's you could say that I lost that trade if you go value for value on that one, and I wouldn't hate you.
No, I'm not going to say you lost it because I know the players that you took. You were able to get 2 quarterbacks in the first round. So to me, like I said, the easiest way to acquire a quarterbacks in a startup are in your startup. That's the easiest way you can acquire them. So if you can trade future assets, future draft picks that are basically just draft picks, they're just nothing right now. They're air. They're draft picks, and you can go up and get a blue chip quarterback to anchor your team for the next 8 or 9 years. I'm doing that every day and twice on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like the idea of getting a solid quarterback there. Now, I'm not that high on Drake May that I would move up specifically for him. It's just at that point, like like we talked about, I like quarterbacks, so I was going after a quarterback there, and he was the best on the board at the time, and so I went after that route. You picked a couple behind me, and you took Caleb Williams, so we both were kind of in the same idea, as far as that's concerned. At 5'8", he ended up coming back and snagging Kyler Murray. So he basically got Nico Collins, Kyler Murray in my first for Drake May. And at 9-3, I ended up snagging. Who did I get at 9-3? I actually traded that pick. Now that I'm thinking about it, I ended up moving that pick, which we'll talk about later. So we won't worry about who I ended up with. But that's basically the value you see there. Like I said, I thought I was okay at it. I'm not going to go too crazy, toot my own horn. I think we actually both ended up in pretty good spot because he got kind of what he was looking for out of it to add some depth in the 2027 first. And I got what I wanted, which was the stud quarterback.
Yeah.
So the next one up doesn't involve me, so I can go a little more intense on it. JoJo and Jimmy Wojo, baby. Jimmy Wojo is one of our regs, so he's new to the Dynasty trading factory, so he's learning as he goes a little bit. I thought he did a pretty decent job with this trade, though. He ended up getting JoJo's 302, which turned into Devon Achane, I should say. A 502, which turned into Ken Walker, and the 111. And in order to get that, he gave up the 107, which became Jahmyr Gibbs, and the 907, which became Blake Corum. So it's basically 2 running back swaps plus a first rounder. So would you give up Jahmyr Gibbs and Blake Corum for Achane, Walker, and the 111?
I don't know. I mean,
I know you're not an Achane fan, so try not to let that be a factor in your evaluation.
I don't know. I like Gibbs a lot better. I think the best player in the deal is Gibbs. So, I'm not much of a trading guy anyways. So unless I'm more of a quarterback guy and all these running backs moving around, but in this particular trade, I'll take the best player in the deal. So I'll take the Gibbs side.
Taking the Gibbs side of it.
Yeah.
I don't hate either side of this, to be honest. It turned out more even than I anticipated with the picks that were generated out of it. Right. Like, the fact that it became 2 running backs for 2 running backs in the 111, I thought that turned out to be kind of funny, ironically. But to me, Achane and Walker, I think the combination of them together, as long as Corum plays behind Williams, I like the Achane Walker side better because that 111, like I said, it's not as deep in this class, but it's still, you have the potential to get a really good player at 111. So I think that kind of sways me to that side of the fence. Achane falling to 302, I thought was a travesty. So he ended up getting a steal of a player there, which bumps the value up in that pick, in my opinion. And then 502, the way Walker signed that deal, that could also be turning out to be a much better pick than it anticipated initially. So the fact that, bought Blake Corum, like I said, is behind Williams, it makes a difference for me. So I probably lean towards Jimmy Wojo's side of this trade. Just not as much as I did initially, but I definitely feel like I still lean that way. So that's a close one though, man. We've had some good ones so far, right? There really hasn't been any crazy ones. I remember seeing a couple. I think they're still coming that I thought were a little out of whack, but as they get their players too, it changes things up a bit. So this one was a 201 and the 212 for the 209 and the 109. So this one I actually was one of the ones I told you about that I thought looked to be a little crazy to me in the beginning, because you've got the 20. You're talking about an 8-pick jump going up from the 209 to the 201. And in order to do that, you're dropping from the 109 down to the 212, which to me is a much larger gap between that than the 8 picks that you're dropping down at. Now, let's fast forward a little bit. 201 became Justin Jefferson. 209 became Bo Nix. So now you're looking at Bo Nix and the 109 for Justin Jefferson and the 212.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that the Bo Nix side is a slam dunk.
Yeah, that was a nice turnout.
It really was. I mean, and it's not. So the value wasn't as far off to me when the trade was made. It still was off. Now, don't get me wrong. When I saw it happen, I was like, wow, just off that for just a 9-pick jump, but obviously really wanted JJ, felt like he was the best player left on the board, did what he had to do to go get him. I didn't hate it per se, but I definitely felt like he overpaid to get his guy, but I figured, hey, what happens, we'll see how it falls when it gets to the 302, or I'm sorry, to the 209. If he heads up with like a much lower level player than I anticipate, then it'll be, it won't be as good as it looks now. But to have Bo Nix drop to him right there, I thought was a steal, especially now that Waddle's on the team. Now, this did happen prior to that, but man, 209, you get your starting quarterback young on Sean Payton's offense, and you're jumping up from the back end of the second round in the rookie draft all the way up to almost the middle of the first. Like that's a steal, man.
Yeah, I don't mind overpaying for a blue chip guy like Jefferson. I mean, like I said, people take these trade values and they're like, oh, you got, the raw end of the deal and you did it. No one's really going to know for at least a couple years out, and in this situation, he got Bo Nix to land in his lap. And then we'll see what happens a couple years from now. I mean, Jefferson's got a new quarterback, so he should rebound. And then Bo Nix has all kinds of weapons now with Waddle coming over. So, I mean, and in that Peyton offense, so he could end up being a top 5 quarterback 2-3 years down the line.
Yeah, exactly. And you add that to the value difference from 212 to 109. I mean, you could trade the 109 today and get yourself a really solid starter if you're in a win now mode. That's right there to take a championship to you for the next 2 years. You can get like a really good player for that 109 right now, especially if somebody's high on this rookie class. So I think that was a pretty solid move. That was a pretty savvy move, I should say, by Thunder Fist there. And like you said, I mean, if Jefferson is your guy, man, you can't hate going up to get him. JoJo and Thunderfist here. Here's another one with these two guys. This is where JoJo traded up to get his tight end that he really liked. So he gave up the 10th, 11, 4-11 in the 2027 second to jump up to 312 and got back the 13-12 and a fourth in the process. So he dropped from the 10-11 to 13-12 to jump up from the 4-11 to the 312. So 3-round drop for 1-round jump and the 4th round pick. I don't think the 4th rounder means anything to me, so I'm basically looking at the rest of it. And I would say at this point, well, I'm sorry, I guess you could say they swapped from a 4 to a 2nd, so you can kind of incorporate it that way. I still think that, in my opinion, going up for the guy from 4-11 to 312, that to me, there's a teardrop in between there. I don't think the 10-11 to 13-12 is as big of a difference. I probably prefer JoJo's side of it, only because I just don't think that the value was there as far as the difference in picks from 4-11 to 312 and 10-11 to 13-12. Now the 2nd round jump helps. It does, but not enough in my opinion, especially knowing he got, one of the top 4 tight ends out available in Dynasty right now. I think that it was a good move for JoJo. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to go up, like I said before, go up and get the guys you want, especially if they're blue chips at their position. If you have to give a little bit more, then I say go ahead and do it. So, I mean, a lot of moving parts right here. Like I said, I don't trade a ton, so I don't really look that deep into it. My trades I like are usually just like 1-for-1s or 2-for-1s or something like that. But
yeah, that's because you don't understand the depth of trading, man.
Well,
you don't think about it like a trader thinks about it, dude.
No, and that's why I don't really do a whole lot, because it's, to me,
you're too scared to have somebody pulling over on you, so you never.
No, it has nothing to do with that. If there's a guy I want, I'll try to go get him, and if I don't mind to overpay a little bit. I mean, but all these different moving pieces, I think in the end it really doesn't matter.
Okay, well, I don't agree with any of that, but let's move on.
I mean, these are like more my types of trades. Just like
yeah. I know, Scott. you basic trader, you. So 903 and the 105 to the 409, right? So you basically a 5-round jump. Now this is me again, so I'm not going to go crazy breaking it down, but it's basically a 5-round jump, and I gave up the 105 to do it. These picks ended up being Harold Fannin, and then he ended up getting, which I thought was a steal at 9-3. It turned out to be DK Metcalf. So DK Metcalf in the 105 for Harold Fannin and a 0.5 TEP. Scotty, man, tell me what you think.
No, everybody knows how much I like Harold Fannin. So he's one of those elite tight ends, young ones. So yeah, I don't mind giving up, like I said, a random draft pick to move up and go get my guy.
Right. I mean, the 105 is an early enough pick where, like I said, if you had a guy in that tier, if you have tier 5 blue chip guys in this draft, then you're getting one of them at least at that pick. So I just personally don't. So that's why I was okay to move it along. But that was basically my thought process, man. I wanted Harold Fannin, and I was afraid after you took Warren a couple of picks ahead of that I wasn't going to have a shot at him.
Yep. No, you're right. And if he would have been there on the way back, I would have taken him. And a true point right here, Jamie makes a good point. Yeah, people that trade wide receiver for wide receiver, running back for running back, yeah, it's just that's not how you make a trade. If you're doing one-on-one, it's got to be, your strength, giving away some of your strength for in acquiring a player that helps the weak spot on your lineup. Same thing with the other guy. If the other guy is weak at receiver, you're strong at receiver, you give him a receiver, he's strong at running back, you get one back. So those are the trades I like. They're very simple. I'm helping my team, you're helping your team, and away we go.
I mean, you don't have to be simple to do the same thing he's talking about, but yes, that's basically the concept. You always want to make sure that if you're trying to make a trade with somebody, that you make sure to help your team out in the process, but don't try to target somebody who's already got depth at the areas that, you can give up, right? If you're deep at wide receiver, find a guy who needs a wide receiver, get him to send you a running back, you send him a wide receiver. That's an everybody wins trade. Don't sit there and go like, oh, I'm deep at running back, let me trade a running back to a guy who's deep at running back. That doesn't do anything for anybody. So let's move on to the next one here. We got a couple more, I think, or one more, and then we can pull Cyborg in and go over our new Sweet 16 bracket and how we're doing on our other brackets. So this is you, Scotty. This one is you. You've got the 509, which we'll start with the players. We'll just go players. You got Quinshon Judkins and Marvin Harrison in exchange for Tucker Kraft and Saquon Barkley. So it was the 506 and the 509 with 604 and the 607. I hated this trade when you made it. I thought the value was not there. You basically gave up 3 picks to move up 3 picks a round later. It made no dang sense to me. And all it did was put you in front of me twice so that you had an opportunity to take 2 guys before my next pick, which I know was the only reason you made a trade that gave you no value. So I think that this is probably the worst trade of the day.
Well, look how it turned out, though.
I can see Cyborg laughing in the background right now. He loves it.
So I made this trade because I was targeting a running back one. There was several on the board that I would have been happy with, including like Breece Hall and I don't know, a couple more guys. I really wanted somebody young to anchor my running back room because I really don't draft too many of them. So I was happy moving up and getting Quinshon Judkins, and I didn't mind giving up the extra value. I figured somebody would come back to me.
Scotty, you didn't move up to get him. You moved back to get him.
Sorry, move back because I knew that there were several guys in a group I would have been happy with.
See, that's what happens. That's called karma,
and
ladies and gentlemen.
Up a little.
When his starts freezing that and he can't keep talking to us because his internet is messing up, that's called karma.
Oh, it did freeze up, eh?
Oh, yeah. You've been freezing up like crazy ever since you tried to justify this horrible trade.
Well, hey, I wanted to move back, and I actually moved up a little bit the next round. And you can make fun of my trade all you want, but look who I got. And I know it pissed you super off because Marvin Harrison fell right in my lap in the next round, and you were so irate. You were trying to move up and get him.
No, you know what happened is I did move up, and I would have taken him, but they all let T. Higgins fall in my lap. He fell like a round and a half later than he should have. I considered T. Higgins with the 409 when we were sitting on the board at 409 instead of Harold Fannin. And when I made the trade up, I was back and forth between him and T, and I went with Fannin because I liked the depth at receiver better. T, I thought for sure it'd be gone by the time it came back around. And we got all the way to the end of the next round, and T was still sitting on the board. I was like, I had no choice to take him, but I literally traded up above you right after this trade to go and get T. Higgins, or to go and get Marvin Harrison from you before he got to you. But what are you going to do? I'm not going to pass up T. Higgins to take Marvin. I just can't do that.
Yeah, well, I think you ran out of assets to trade too, and nobody else would trade with you anymore. So that's basically what it came down to, is Sean made so many trades, he had no more assets to trade.
Not true at all. I did trade up ahead of you. I still had a chance to take Marvin from you, but then you would have got T. Higgins and been an even bigger steal, and I would have been even more upset.
Well, then, like I said, it all worked out. It all worked out.
Let's move on to the next trade. This is Scotty's buddy, Second Deck, and myself. Like I just told you, this trade happened right after Scott's in order for me to jump up, because I wanted to make sure I was able to get that receiver that I wanted. And it turned out to be a different receiver than I wanted initially, but I'm happy with this one. So I gave up the 605 and the 708 to jump up to the 511, and I went back down to the 82. So from 605 to 511, and in order to do that, I dropped from 78 to 82. So I gave him about 2 extra picks in value to move up. So it wasn't terrible value for him, I don't think. It kind of worked out well for both of us, to be honest. I was able to snag T. Higgins, and then with 8-2, I took Matthew Stafford, and he took Jalen Waddle at 605, and with 7-8, he took Cam Scatterbo. So what do you think, Scotty? Jalen Waddle and Cam Scatterbo for T. Higgins and Matthew Stafford?
Well, first of all, he took Jalen Waddle before the trade, so I thought it was a terrible pick at the time, but then he got bailed out because he got traded to Denver. So, but I mean, I don't know. I think it's fine. Like I said, it's.
How are you going to talk bad about your boy's pick like that? That's your friend, man.
It was a bad pick. It was a bad pick right there, but he got bailed because that was pre-trade. So he got bailed out because he ended up getting traded to Denver.
I mean, hey, what can I say, right? Like at least this trade wasn't like your trade, which was basically the equivalent of a running back for running back trade. This is actually a better deal than that. So this one I wouldn't have a problem with justifying. I wouldn't be arguing it like you did with the last one.
So fun.
Oh man. All right. I feel like this is maybe our last one here, guys. It's either this one or the next one. This is 11-4. This is actually very similar trade to what just happened. He goes from the 5-8 down to the 11-4 and gave up a first round pick to do it. Or I'm sorry, the other way around, jumped up from 11-4 to 5-8, gave up a first round pick to do it. So what do you think about that one? He ended up with Kyler Murray at 5-8, and at 11-4, I can tell you exactly who that turned out to be. That turned out to be. Where are you? Woody Marks. So Woody Marks and a 2027 first for Kyler Murray. Doom, 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 doom.
You know what? I really like the quarterback. I hate giving away quarterbacks like that, but it is a 27 first, and I really like that class a lot. You know what? I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm not going to go off tracks. I'll take Kyler Murray. I think he'll fit good in that offense.
So you're going to go with Kyler?
Yeah.
All right. I don't hate it, man. I mean, like you said, the 2027 first isn't bad. It all depends on what happens with Woody, right? If Woody ends up being okay, even though they signed David and he still gets a good piece of work to make it worth it for him, then I think that one probably leans that way at that point. Otherwise, I got to go with the quarterback. You know, I can't hate on that, especially with Murray going to that offense. I think there's a strong chance that he does well this year and signs for a long-term deal there and stays in that offense with my face cousin, the quarterback whisperer, Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, if I knew that 27 first was like a top 5 pick, like guaranteed, then I would probably take the pick. And even though I said they're just random picks, I really like that draft class. It's going to be a really good class. So I would say any of you guys that are doing Dynasty, try to hold those 27 first, because they're going to be super valuable come that time of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the end of trade talks. Before we move on, let's pull up this one little trade here that he's talking about. Shadow said Rocky made. That's always fun to break down Rocky's trades. He said he gave up McLaurin, Agbuka, and Hubbard for Janty, and then traded Janty and Breece Hall for Jamar Chase later on. McLaurin, Egbuka, and Hubbard for Janty is a travesty. That should have never happened. Janty and Breece Hall for Jamar Chase, I also consider to be a travesty. Neither of those trades should have ever happened. And in experienced dynasty leagues like ours, you won't have the opportunity to do things like this to people.
Yeah, I love it. That's how you take a lot of. And I'm not saying Janty and Mbuka are like bad players or anything like that, obviously, or even Breece Hall. I love Breece Hall, but I mean, to be able to do what Rocky did and end up with Jamar Chase is pretty brilliant.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and move on here. Let's get to the nitty gritty and bring in our buddy Cyborg.
Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up? How y'all doing?
Doing good, man. Thanks for hanging with us while we talked a little bit about the trade talks there.
Oh yeah, not a problem. I was listening.
That's right. And we know the reason you're here today is because we're going to talk a little March Madness and talk about how these things have gone. So I got to ask you first and foremost, buddy, how is your bracket looking now after everything, right? It does not sound good.
Oh man, well, I only had 3, and one of them's completely destroyed because I had Florida going all the way, of course, and the other 2 aren't looking too hot either. I haven't really delved into them. I just look at the placement, and the placement is a triple digit. So that's all you need to know. I mean, you know. But
wow.
Oh man, and I've learned over the years, because like the first year I did this, man. I went to CBS, I went to ESPN, I went to all these popular, big media groups and got their opinions and printed out the brackets and filled them out with my pen and paper and highlighted the one, and all that stuff. That first, I spent hours, and I thought, oh yeah, I got this aced, man. Of course, this is gonna ace, man. It bombed first round, okay, because of the upsets. I didn't know about the upset, how often they happened they happen a lot. So but ever since then I've learned not to spend too many hours on that trying to get that stuff going, because it's don't sit there with one game trying to decide and go back to it later and make gut decision at that point. Just hit the button. That's it. Because if it's that close and they're that close, I mean, it's up in the air. Man, they don't even have to be that close,
It's crazy what's going on.
Seating wise, it's been a pretty good series. So absolutely. But you know what else is coming up? It's Sweet 16 round, and I think this is a hidden gem. I think as far as creating pools and stuff like that, it's a hidden gem because it's only 15 games you have to choose versus 63. So it may appeal to more people. It's just like an NFL playoff pool at that point with 15 games. Not saying it's going to be easier. I mean, technically, that sounds easier, but it won't be. So I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's a good segue right into our we'll talk about all the games that have happened here in just a second, but we're going to be doing a actual Sweet 16 free bracket challenge here at Sudden Death Fantasy Sports for you guys. It's going to be co-sponsored by us and FanCred, our buddy Armin over at FanCred. So the pot we're going to start out with is $100 for you guys, free for you guys to get in. A link, go to our hub and sleeper. The link is in the description. We're going to post the information tomorrow morning for you guys so you can start joining in this contest. And if we can get to 50 entries, then we're going to jump it up to a $200 prize pool. So if it's anything under 50 entries, it's going to be top 3 get paid, $100 prize pool. If it's over 50 entries, it'll be top 5 get paid for a $200 prize pool. And then again, this is a free thing for you guys that we're doing as a thank you for all you gamers that have helped us grow to where we are so far. I mean, it's been a really fast couple of months here that we've been going crazy with you guys coming on board, and we really appreciate it. We wanted to give you guys some things to say thank you. This is one of them. And we thought this would just be a really fun thing to do. So like I said, keep an eye out. The link is in the description. Go and join the hub and sleeper. Make sure you're there tomorrow morning. You can check it out. There'll be a post in there. We're going to hit up in the leagues too if you're in the leagues. So you guys will all know. And for anybody you can, get them in there, get it going. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Excellent.
So, where's the money coming from, Sean?
The money is coming right out of our marketing budget ourselves here. It's a pot for you guys that comes directly from us and FanCred. FanCred's marketing budget and our budget are coming together to provide this for you guys. It's no rake back. It's not something we took out of your rake and then turn around and give it back to you later and calling it a free thing. We don't do that here. This is literally straight out of our pockets to yours to say thank you.
Exactly.
So yeah, man, but before we worry about too much of going crazy on all that and stuff and get too far into the weeds with all that, let's talk about what happened already, man. I mean, some of the insane games, right? Like, let's go back to the first one that was like the bracket buster of the first round.
Oh yeah,
good old High Point taking them down, right? Scotty, what did you think of that High Point 83-82 win over Wisconsin, man? Did you anticipate that at all?
It really didn't surprise me. I did say on our podcast,
here we go.
I did say on our podcast that you got to watch out for those mid-major teams that have 30 wins plus in the regular season. Teams that win 30 games. I mean, you don't just win 30 games at any level without being a good team. So, and they can shoot the three. And if they get hot, that's a team that could be very dangerous in the tournament. And we see it all the time that these teams that are very good teams in the regular season and good shooters, they come out hot, and when it gets down to under 5 minutes, they end up burying a team. And you know, the other team that's the higher seed, they kind of pucker up, and that's what Wisconsin did. Is they kind of puckered up in the end, and you know, High Point's a really good team. So I was hoping they would win another one, but you know, the Bucks.
They proved it too. I mean, they came close in that game. And the final score, 88-94 against Arkansas in the next round, doesn't say it, you know, as much as what the game actually was. It was a pretty close game there, right up until the very end. So yeah, I'm with you, man. I thought that was an interesting outcome. I definitely didn't have them on my bracket. I definitely got screwed pretty much by that victory right out the gate. So it's been over since day one for me. But, you know, another one that we had in that side of the bracket was the Texas upset over BYU, and this is one that you actually did talk about. That I think we might have even taken it on the audience bracket, if I remember correctly.
Well, I'm not gonna take the credit on this because the credit goes to Shadows. He told us all along that Texas was getting in, not only winning one game, but he predicted they were going to win 2 games, and they did.
He was right.
He was right.
They not only beat BYU 79-71, they also beat Gonzaga 74-68 right after that.
Yeah. Wow. So you got to give the credit to Shadows. He called it.
Don't mess with Texas.
Oh yeah. All right. Wait. Hang on a second, everybody. Let's give Cyborg his opportunity to talk about Texas. Cyborg, here's your 2 minutes, buddy. You go hype up your home state.
No, that's all I got to say about that. I predicted Texas would win the first round. I did hope. I didn't know about the second though. That was a good thing to see. So I'm all the way for the Texans.
Oh wow,
man.
Look at this.
Absolutely.
Shadows is really now. See this one. I'm sorry, brother. You know, I'm sorry to both you guys, but I think Purdue's just going to be too strong in this game.
I think he's switching it up.
And every team is subject.
In the audience bracket that Texas was going to lose to Purdue. I think he's changing things up on us. I feel like that was a pick that he made in bracket 2 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden he's like, Texas, baby. That'd be insane, though, right? Texas in the Final Four after winning their way in, which any 11 seed winning in my opinion, is a travesty in the first place. But let's see. Any other crazy victories that we want to talk about from that first week or that first round there, Scotty? That I'm scrolling here through, just double checking, making sure I'm not missing anything insane. The one game there is one that I do want to talk about because I think this team is something. And it's not an upset, but it's a game that I want to discuss. And the way that they've been playing is Tennessee. I think Tennessee looks really, really good. And I'm thinking that team has a shot, man. Scotty, what do you think of Tennessee, the way they're playing? You think they could take Iowa State down there? They're playing Iowa State here in the Sweet 16 coming up. Do you think they got a shot to keep moving forward, or do you think this is the end of their run?
I mean, they rebound the basketball really well. You know, that's something that's their strong point. They are a little bigger than Iowa State. Iowa State does have a lot of shooters. But, you know, this is a game that, you know, the more I've been reading about it, that this could be a game that Iowa State could lose. So am I taking Tennessee? No, I'll take Iowa State. I think they've been a really good team for most of the year, but Like I said, man, there's always in this, even when you get to the Sweet 16, there's always a team that kind of comes out of nowhere. And Iowa State really hasn't done really that well in the tournament, where Tennessee has. And Tennessee's coached by Rick Barnes. He's been around the block a few times. So do I think they're going to win? No, but it wouldn't shock me if they pulled the upset.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, but I just think they're playing really good right now, and I just like the way they look out there. It looks like they're playing with a lot of confidence. On the other side of the world here, we can talk about VCU beating North Carolina with an 82-78 victory, which is not something I saw coming at all. Did you think that was going to happen, Scotty, at all? I mean, come on, give me your honest opinion.
I think I called VCU because I got hate from who did I get hate from? Was it Dick? Was it Dick that said, yeah, so. Dick gave me a hard time.
Well, sometimes you deserve that hard time.
Yeah, he gave me a hard time there. So
gave you. I like that. I caught that. Gave you a hard time.
Yeah, I got it.
Come on, guys. This is a family show. All right, come on. VCU 82-70. They ended up losing the next game against Illinois, so it really didn't make much of a difference that they took out the 6th seed. But I mean, like you said, Scotty, I thought it was a good game, a fun one to watch. On the other side, though, it didn't happen in the first round, but man, Iowa 73 over Florida 72. I mean, is that our first 1 seed out the door, if I'm not mistaken, right? So, Scott, man, what do you think? In the defending champions out already.
Yeah, that one definitely hurt. Yeah, that one definitely hurt. I had Florida. I didn't have them winning at all, but I had them going pretty far. A few of them I had them going to the championship game, so that kind of hurt in a few brackets. And that was a tough loss. I mean, they were winning pretty much the whole game and kind of let it go at the end there. So, but you know what? They were the worst 1 seed. I really don't think they should have been a 1 seed. I think it should have been UConn. Should have got the last 1 seed. So, but yeah, we always, it's hard to get all one seeds to the finals. There's always usually one that goes down. And I thought if one was to go down, it probably was going to be Florida.
Look at that. Look at Cyborg. He's so mad at you right now for not
telling
him about that earlier.
I mean, I root for Florida because I'm down.
He's doing the Adam Sandler over there. Why didn't you tell me yesterday? I love it. Yeah, man, I can understand, though. I'm sure a lot of people had Florida as their winner, so you're not the only one that's hurting by that. I think even one of the guys in the top 3 or 4 of the bracket challenge right now on Cyborg's brackets is one who had Florida going all the way, so they probably were like, they were sitting there like, oh my gosh, I might have a shot, and then boom,
Oh man, did y'all see? I found this out. One of my top guys he's like the number 1 guy in my pool right now. He's like number 5 globally. If you click that global tab across Sleeper, that I'm guessing that means across all of Sleeper, he's like number 5.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like,
look at his bracket,
dude.
Destroyed it. That bracket that he's got is like, I think he's only missed like 3 games total. Insane. I'm like, I was looking at his bracket going, how do you compete with somebody like this? This is nuts.
I know who I'm consulting next year. That's all I know. That's all I know.
Right? Yeah, the dude knows what he's doing. Congratulations to you, whoever you are.
Oh shoot.
So yeah, one more. Let's go make sure. There wasn't any other major upsets in the other bracket really from that point forward. So everything else went forward pretty much how we expected, right? Or at least how the rankings say they should go forward. We've got a couple of really interesting matchups though coming up in the Sweet 16. So I'm pretty excited about how this is going to move forward and what's going to happen with these brackets that we have. Because for me, being a guy who doesn't really pay much attention to college basketball until this all kind of kicks off, like now that I've watched some games that I've been paying attention to, and I've seen some players that I hadn't really actually watched personally before, I definitely feel a little bit more educated on going into the Sweet 16 challenge that we're doing. So I'm excited to see if I can actually be competitive-ish in this bracket, as opposed to being in the bottom, 50 out of 500 or whatever it is.
Yeah. No, there's definitely going to be some good games. A few that I'll point out just from looking at a few. I really like this Illinois-Houston game. I think this is going to be a bloodbath. It would, even though I really like Houston a lot, I think that, and this is the same side of the bracket that Florida just got knocked out of. So I could totally see. I know a couple brackets. I got Illinois going through, a couple I got Houston going through. So this could be a really, really good matchup here, and it wouldn't shock me if Illinois gets it done. They played in the Big Ten, the toughest conference in college basketball. Another game will go down to the.
When did they change the name of their state? I thought it was Illinois.
Illinois, whatever.
Yankees. That's what I call them, Yankees.
Sean's a spelling police or punctuational police, whatever you want to call it. But and then
I'm a grammar guard. Okay, I'm a grammar guard.
And the other game I'm looking at is Michigan State UConn. I really like Tom Izzo. Two coaches that are battle tested. I did say that UConn should have been the last 1 seed, and even though they're little brother, I'm going to pull for Michigan State. I think Tom Izzo gets it done with his point guard, Jeremy Fears, who I always say, you got to have good point guard play.
Well, hang on, let me write down. Scott's giving us his bracket for the contest, everybody. Let me write this down.
And one last game I want to look at, and this is is dear to my heart. It's the Alabama-Michigan game, and I do think Michigan's going to pull this out. But this game terrifies me because one of the games that Michigan lost was against Wisconsin, who shot the lights out at the 3-point range. Michigan, if they have a weakness, it's defending the 3. Alabama's the best 3-point shooting team in the country. If they can hit Michigan with they're going to have to hit 23s. And if they can hit 23s, Michigan's going down because I don't know if Michigan can hit 15 threes. So we don't want to compete. We don't want a 3-ball contest with this team. So we got to beat them down low. But this game terrifies me. I'm pretty sure Michigan will pull it out. But
what would happen if they start hitting all those 3s, Scott? What would that be?
It's a kabacle, and
it would be a kabacle. Yes,
it's a kabacle, and it is a mess.
Kabacle.
I was waiting for that drop.
Oh my god!
Oh, I know, and I waited till the very end to do it, but I couldn't help myself. I just had to.
That's so diabolic. I mean, diabolic. Excuse me,
yeah,
diabolic.
That's great. But,
all I know is that it's a kabacle and it is a mess.
Yes, it is.
Hilarious.
Oh man, just like our show today, guys.
It's a kabacle and it is a mess.
Oh man, gotta love it, right? Oh, okay. So on that note, we're gonna get on out of here, guys. Like I said before, the link is in the description for the Sleeper Hub. Please join the Sleeper Hub and get in there for the free giveaway that we're doing, the Sweet 16 bracket challenge. That's gonna be posted up in our hub starting tomorrow. So get in there, get it checked out so that you're ready to go in the morning and get signed up. Like I said, man, help us get over 50 people and it'll double the pot. So let's make it happen, Captain. If you guys are out there and you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know why, but please go do it now. Thanks you so much. For my co-host Scott, for my good buddy Cyborg, we are Sudden Death Fantasy Sports, and we are out of here. After Cyborg pokes the camera.